Okay, good evening, or good morning. It's 12:15 on January 24th, the day after the hearings revealed there's definitely a coup as performed by performed, committed, or what have you. Yeah, I can't get my hair, having a bad hair evening. Well, I want to talk about the Mormon kingdom in the West, Deseret. It's quite incredible find. I want to start by showing you. I cleaned my room yesterday. I spent all day rearranging my room. I'm going, what the hell are you doing this for, John? Well, I'm going to go to the LDS Research Center, and I want to feel good about where I'm coming from. That's not an explanation. Why are you doing it now? You're wearing yourself out. You had a bad day getting to your obstetrician, and you got there late, the buses, and you had to walk a mile and a half, and you're worn out. And then now you're going to remodel your house just like that when you haven't touched it for a couple of years or more, and you're just going to get up and do it, you know. I did. I kept having to remind myself, well, no one's coming out, but yeah, they'll come over maybe again after. I'm going to see Sister Mitchell and Sister Higgins again, maybe Dola. But all of a sudden, I opened the door and there's four young women. And they want to come in my house. And I go, well, you understand, I suffer from PTSD. I'm a hermit. I don't let people in my home hardly ever. Unless I know them, I trust them. All right, come on, right in. I was expecting you. And all day yesterday, so I can only work in like 10-minute increments because my back freezes up. So I'm planning it all out. I got to move this, got to move that. I got to get the sofa in the right place. And I moved my chair sideways because I wasn't, even though I sat there, I was kind of looking at her sideways. I wanted to be able to face, uh, my guest, these sisters from the LDS church. Just want to show you, what I did, which is unbelievable. I don't know where I got the strength. See, there's the couch. I moved that wicker chest back there. I took out the contents there and put them over here for now. That chair back there is more of an angle. I gave my neighbor Sandy my coffee table that was sitting right there in the middle of the room because I wanted to set up a chair next to my drafting table because I might do some watercolors. I got some canvases over there. If I hadn't vacuumed for over a month, I want to make my place look good. And with all the stuff that I had everywhere, I did a damn good job. And just in time, right? Now, I asked briefly Higgins and Mitchell that the Mormons believed in a end time or anything like that. And I think I looked it up briefly because I've been doing a crash course, in Mormonism, and so I'm. I kind of look like Santa Claus. I kind of got this thing here, Let's see if I can't get my painting in here. Well, is the world coming to an end? There it is. Do Mormons believe in end time? And so is the world coming to an end? Well, we're on the eve of revelations about the Christian conspiracy to take over our secular government and replace it with kingdom of Jesus. Let's talk about this. And CNN had all this horrific news about these Republican congressmen and people around Trump really talking about insurrection and a political coup. And they backed it up with acts of violence on January 6th. So they're asking, well, is this going to change the mind of Republican voters? Well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Why? It'll affect some. But other people are going to continue to believe in Trump, no matter what. No matter what? What are you talking about? No matter what? This is the worst thing that's ever happened to our democracy since the Civil War, maybe ever. And so, does this mean people, what? Robert E. Lee to be in the White House? Is this what it means? Is our nation going to be constantly divided because of the Civil War and slavery issues? And John Fremont was the first to emancipate slaves. He actually wrote it out in Missouri. The Mormons right, were against slavery. And, I still got to do that. I just briefly looked at their view on slaveries. I found the quotation or the Jessie Benton's letter to a British official up in Canada, assuring her that her father was not pro-slavery because they're going to sell back the Oregon Territory to the United States. And apparently Jessie Benton and her father were the brokers of this. Thomas Hart Benton was the John Astor's secretary, and he sold the British the Oregon Territory just before 1812 was going to break out, because Astor didn't want to commit. Well, he did have the soldiers actually, but he didn't want to get sucked into a war with Britain and lose his fortune and his worldwide monopoly. This is huge, people, huge. And so, what was I saying? Oh, okay. Let's go back to this. So, John Fremont could have been brokering the sale of California to the Prussians, and Starr talked him out of starting a kingdom, a nation out here out west. But I wonder if he was going to found a kingdom. I wonder if the Prussians were going to start a massive colony out in the west, and with the Mormons in on this deal. Were the Prussians going to back the Mormons? Who's backing? Who's putting forth the money for their big trip from Independence to Utah? And was John Fremont helping broker a deal. But all of a sudden that fell through. And I have to look at, this is going to be an amazing book and research. I have to look at the timing, the dates, the Prussian offer, when John Fremont, the Black Flag revolt. There's a Mormon flag with a grizzly bear on it, and they're connecting the sale. I mean the formation of Deseret, Deseret. The state of Deseret was a provincial state of the United States proposed in 1849 by settlers from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City. The provincial state existed for slightly over 2 years and was never recognized by the United States government. The name derives from the word for honeybee in the Book of Mormon. Honeybee, Deseret. I have to look into that. So here's a flag of Deseret. And there's another one. So they had like two flags. They had their own flag. And take the flags with a grain of salt. Because they're corruptible. Flags are corruptible when it comes to the history. I discovered we can't rely upon them because people want to be the Betsy Ross at some historic event, so they can make tend that well they do have made things up. But I see a similarity to John Fremont's flag of the West. Were they influenced by that? Very well could have been influenced. So now I got to look for the Deseret thing. Oh boy. So also we're talking about a kingdom versus a democracy. And that needs to be explored. Because did the Mormons, decide that they couldn't live in a democracy? And in their quest to build a new Zion in Independence, Missouri, they could have said, well, we can't, they won't let us do that. Does it have anything to do with democracy? Why don't we just go west and create a kingdom of Zion, the Mormon kingdom of Zion. Zion is a key word. I haven't got into the turned around Jews, the Turner relationship with my family, and the resettlement of Israel by the turned around Jews, the muscular Judaism. They were into gymnastics and sports as the Germans. They imitated the German turned around. I haven't got into that yet. It's all fitting. It's all coming together, folks. And Again, I'm probably very exhausted. I feel that I'm in a prophetic state, and it's probably good to talk in this state because I don't know. Uh, when I wake up tomorrow, I might just really get hit with a hey, you need to go away for a week and hide uh, because it's immense. It's absolutely immense. And the key thing is, I told the sisters, there's Deseret laid over about 5 states. Yeah, see, these states weren't even formed. You see, today, Deseret is part of California, Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. That's a lot of territory, folks. And, the major prophet of the LDS Church is creating this kingdom. And they talk about some of it. Now, one of the maps doesn't have Los Angeles included, but another one does. So Los Angeles comes into play. San Bernardino, where Aunt Lillian and other people were close to lived, San Fernando Valley, San Bernardino. Okay, formation of the proposal. When members of the LDS Church, the Mormon pioneers, settled in the Salt Lake Valley near the Great Salt Lake in 1847, then part of Mexico, they wished to set up a government that would be recognized by the United States. Mexico, Habsburgs, Maximilian, Camille. Okay, not ready to take this in increments, John. Initially, Church President Brigham Young intended to apply for status as a territory and sent John Milton Bernscheissel to Washington, D.C. with a petition for territorial status. Realizing that California and New Mexico were applying for admission as states, Young changed his mind and decided to petition for statehood. Wow. In March 1849, realizing they did not have time to follow the usual steps toward statehood, Young and a group of church elders quickly drafted a state constitution based on that of Iowa, where the Mormons had temporarily settled, and sent the legislative record and constitution back to that state for printing, since no printing press existed in the Great Basin at that time. They then sent a second messenger with a copy of the state's formal records and constitution to meet up with the Bernscheissel in Washington and to petition for statehood rather than territorial status. The provincial state encompassed most of the territory that had been acquired from Mexico the previous years as the Mexican cession. The territory of Deseret would have comprised roughly all the lands between the Sierra Nevada and the Rockies and between the border with Mexico northward, include parts of the Oregon Territory as well as the coast of California, Santa Monica Mountains, including existing settlement of Los Angeles and San Diego. This included the entire watershed of the Colorado River, excluding lands south of the border with Mexico, as well as the entire area of the Great Basin. The proposal encompassed nearly all of present-day Utah and Nevada, large portions of California and Arizona, and parts of Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, Idaho, and Oregon. And this included the entire watershed of the Colorado River. When the five sisters sitting here and the four younger ones, I brought up the two initial sisters I met. And I dressed everybody. I said, night before last, which is Wednesday night. No, Tuesday night, I read that there was an idea to take some of the water in the Mississippi and pipe it to Lake Mead to help irrigate this land we're talking about, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and because Lake Mead is going dry. And if it does, a lot of people are not going to have electricity. And a lot of Los Angeles is being, the valley will be plunged into darkness. So somewhere I hear, I'm reading some of my news feed, that Salt Lake is drying up. And that's a disaster because there's this fine dust that contains particles that are very injurious to one's health. So if a windstorm blew these particles over Salt Lake City, a lot of people were going to die. So I Googled the idea, is someone thinking about bringing Mississippi River to Utah? Yes. I think I read that, or I'm making that up. The last 48 hours, people, have been a tremendous explosion of revelation and knowledge. But I think maybe they're talking about the Colorado River. No, I think it was, But then, I read today about them buying this watershed and having water rights. Brigham Young really wasn't stupid. So people who had looked at, the Habsburgs owned this property. Were they going to come in and people were coming from France? There were all these other immigrants that foreign powers had brought in. And the study of the West was intense, it looks like. And someone said, hey, if the reason we can't develop all this desert land is because we only have one source of water, the Colorado River. And how are we going to manage to chop up the river flow and send it to all this area called Deseret. So bring young, either you talk to Fremont or other people, they said, well, if you can get the water rights, be sure if you buy all this land for your kingdom, be sure you get the water rights, because otherwise it's, you're up shit creek without a paddle and a river. You don't have any water to put your paddle in. That's a pretty good one, John. So, yeah, I like that. So, I mean, this is the biggest land deal going on in the world, folks. Maybe outside what was going on in Russia. China, So I said, to the sisters that this is like a doomsday uh, crisis. Thus, we're talking about prophecy and the timing of everything. And I mentioned what's going on with the hearing. What we're talking about is a doomsday scenario. And the Mormons are right in, their history is right in the middle of this thing. Uh, the whole westward ho movement was an ecological disaster. It's just getting worse. And it looks like the evangelical Christian kingdom people, they're for Trump because they want him to destroy everything, to fulfill prophecy. That's what is about ready to be revealed, I believe, because these Christians want him to be the Antichrist, destroy everything, destroy secular society, destroy democracy. So Jesus will come back to life and create a 1,000-year kingdom. The millennialists are behind Trump, the Christian nationalists. And the only thing that's keeping our our democracy and secular way of life going are the Democrats. And so Christian leaders said, hey, don't be a Democrat, be a Republican, because that's going to be the party for the coming kingdom of Jesus and God. Saying this over and over again, warning all my liberal friends 20 years ago, that this was happening. They, oh, no, John, you're crazy. It's that LSD you took when you were 18 and 20 and 19. Yeah, it's acid flashback stuff, No, it's not. And I've been, dealing with my therapist for over 2 years with these accusations and treatments. Hang the prophet. You're no prophet. You're a lunatic. You should be locked up, from my neighbors and blah, blah, blah. So, what is this, another map? Yeah, this is a relief map. I'm looking at the blueprint of a kingdom, folks. By people that honored my kin, John Fremont. He was married to Jessie Benton. Hydrology. What the hell is this? The hydrographic Great Basin is 2,009 square miles, area that once drained eternally. All precipitation in the region evaporated, sunk underground, or flowed into lakes, mostly saline. However, since the advent of the Los Angeles Aqueduct, for over a century, a large portion of water has been transported out of the area, leaving the landscape permanently altered, as observed by Fremont. Creeks, streams, and rivers find no outlet to either the Gulf of Mexico or the Pacific Ocean. The region is bounded by the blah, blah, blah. See, the water crisis. So anyway, I accidentally went off that site, so I'm going to end because, as you can tell, I'm tired. I just want to close. I talked about Maribaba, and I've said it, that I've inherited his teaching. I declared this on my blog, Roy Rosemont Press, but I believe it's true now. I'm absolutely convinced after today that I inherited his mission, uh, his religious mission. He said he was the avatar, the reincarnation of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, blah blah blah. And I mentioned I took over Armstrong's church, the Radio Church of God. I restored that to its original state. I talked with a woman, old woman, who's a genealogist, uh, about British Israelism. She didn't know too much about it. And I said, well, Herbert Armstrong was uh, 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 British Israelism is about the belief that the 10 tribes went to Europe and begot the royalty of Europe. And this is why they have such, you know, extensive genealogies, because they believe that they're descending from King David and Jesus. So this whole the older woman, she didn't really want me to talk about the Deseret. She tried to nix that when I brought it up and showed these maps, and the young woman, I said, yeah, have you ever heard of this? They said, no, no, we haven't. And then the older one say, oh, yeah, be careful what you read and what you see. A lot of it's made up stuff. Well, I says, no, this thing really fits in. Uh, it looks valid to me. I said I knew Dan Brown was eavesdropping on us, and the Da Vinci Code was claptrap and bullshit. And so I could tell the difference. But the John Freeman thing was written by Alexander L. Uh, Bogg, or a renowned LDS historian. And this woman finally admitted that, yeah, it's real. You know, so I there's intrigue. I said, well, a lot of these religions have intrigue, and their histories are questioned, and blah 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 blah. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen, the way this is all coming together, it looks like I'm destined for your church, along with my information I've uncovered. I brought up that I told Sister Higgins, the judging of the soda of the woman accused of adultery. I figured out what that's about. I was telling her right there in Walmart in the produce section. And I said, I don't uh, preach or teach just anybody. But I could tell by her voice and the conversations she was having with Sister Mitchell that they're harmonizing from a divine place. They're harmonizing with the truth of God. That's what we're talking about. So we're going there. Everybody wants to go and be with the absolute truth of God. God is truth, truth is God. This seems to be the great carrot on the stick. My people say, hey, forget it. I'm not going for that one. I'm done. I did that in maybe past lives or whatever. But it creates chaos and battles and war and inquisitions and witch hunts and men with torches and pitchforks coming at you because they want their God to be the truth, their religion to be the right path to God who is truth. So I'm at the end of my life here. And what I'm saying here and posting, I hope they archive it. I hope they spy on me and record my whole blog. Take it, please. You know, talk to your apostles at the head of the Mormon church and, take it, my blog, and put it up there in your cave, your end of the world cave. So it'll live. Because what was is not going to be what is now. And what is now will be the past in a very, very short time. Because I think we're going to run an accelerated journey to see God in our lifetime. And who's in the shape of God? Maybe I'm God. Do you ever think of that? Well, I think people think that's what I'm saying. They listen to me go, oh, yeah, we've seen you. You're going to say that you're Jesus. In fact, the older one kind of brought up this book, but I forgot the name of it. So I was too busy to take notes. But some famous book, about Jesus, the Earthling or something like that. I got to discover that. So going back to my room, I kept saying, no, don't take the task of rearranging your whole living area after you went through that crisis with walking a half a mile and a mile and a half, and you're tired, your feet were swollen up. Don't do it. No, I was driven by my angel. There's a messenger from God to clean my living room. I just made this 37-minute tape just to let you know how whacked up crazy I am. Or what a great prophet I am, or that God's talking through me and he ordered me to clean up my room because it was a mess. It was shit scattered everywhere. And yes, Lord, why am I cleaning my room today? Because there's going to be a change of plans, stupid. We're going to, I'm sending the 5 women to your house. You're not going to be at the LDS Research Center, There's been a change of plans. They're coming to your house and they're bringing 2 more women and another woman, And between the change of plans and everything else, I found Deseret, the Mormon kingdom in the West, that was co-created by John Fremont, my kid, who was painted by the artist Gutzon Bortson, who did the Mount Rushmore statues. And he did a bust of Jesse Benton, my kid. So now we got this artist, Rabboni Young. He did all this, that big monument of statues, in Utah. There's John Fremont standing, amongst them. And then my daughter rejects me. I'm going to add the photographs of me with my newborn grandson and daughter in the Stoopmeister crypts in Coleman, under the big monument that the artist Young made. So what I'm telling you is, that God Maybe doesn't choose your religion. He has a plan for you. And by golly, I think I'm finally struck pay dirt. The plan that God had for me, is finally revealed. Cleaning your room. All right, this is John Presco. You have a good day.